Now that the NFL's deadline for draft declarations has passed, let's take a look at how things fared. LSU, as we know, will lose All-Americans Greedy Williams and Devin White, plus nose tackle Ed Alexander. The former two made the right call and will almost certainly be top 15 picks or so. Alexander, probably not so, but he may not have had a truly good choice with his history of knee injuries. Most importantly, the program was able to hold on to juniors that appear to be right on the verge of breaking out: Braden Fehoko, Rashard Lawrence, Michael Divinity and Christian Fulton, hopefully reversing a trend that has been a huge anchor on the program in the last 5 years, when players like Benny Logan, Ego Ferguson, Anthony Johnson, Kevin Minter, Harold Simon, Try Turner, Toby Weathersby and Davon Godja all left as lower-round picks, right as it seemed like they might break out as college players. On top of another long list of stars that left early to be high picks: Fournette, Beckham, Landry, Reed, Mingo, Hill, etc. So let's look at how the rest of the SEC fared, and how some of LSU's 2019 opponents were affected. Alabama. RB Josh Jacobs, T.R. Smith, DB Savion Smith, S. Deontay Thompson, L.T. Jonah Williams, N.T. Quinnen Williams, L.B. Mac Wilson. Well then, after years of getting extra seasons out of the likes of Jonathan Allen, Reuben Foster, Shondion Hamilton, C.J. Mosley, etc., it seems like the Tide have finally taken a pretty significant hit. They'll be young or inexperienced at a few positions for the first time in a while. Of course, they still have the most talented roster in the conference, and just added the program's highest-rated recruiting class ever. Almost all of these guys made the right decision, with exception of Savion Smith, who was always just a mercenary anyway. Arkansas DB Ryan Pulley, he had 3 of Arkansas's 5 interceptions last year. When you're 2-10, that's not easy to replace. Auburn QB Jarrett Stidham, WR Darius Slayton, CB Jamel Dean. Auburn came out of this okay, all things considered. Yes, Stidham and Slayton were productive, but that offense is powered by the offensive line and the running game, and the other Tigers will return every major contributor there. More importantly, they held on to the rest of this secondary, and kept junior defensive linemen Marlon Davidson and Derek Brown. With Nick Coastal on hand, this should be one of the best defensive lines in the country once again. Florida RB Jordan Scarlett, Ajay Polite, LB Voshan Joseph, S. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, O.T. Jawan Taylor. The defense held on to a very good player in Jabari Zuniga, but Joseph, Polite, Gardner-Johnson and the graduating C.C. Jefferson removes a lot of the punch of the defense. Losing Taylor means they'll be replacing 4 of the 5 offensive linemen. Scarlett felt like he was at Florida forever, but guys like Tyree Cleveland, Freddie Swain and Josh Hammond will be back for their 9th senior years. Georgia WR Mecole Hardman, WR Riley Ridley, RB Elijah Holyfield, Tay Isaac Nauta. DeAndre Swift is still there, but that's a lot of playmaking gone from the Bulldog offense. They'll have to find some new ones. Kentucky RB Benny Snell, 1,400 of 2,500 rushing yards and 16 of 27 touchdowns is about as big of a loss as it gets when you only pass for 161 yards per game. Ole Miss WRAJ Brown, WRDK Metcalf, Tay Dawson Knox, O.T. Greg Little. The receiving core is what made Ole Miss offense go for the last 3 years or so now, and now they're all gone. Mississippi State DT Jeffrey Simmons, all things considered, stated okay here. Yes, Simmons was a major playmaker and tone setter for the defense, and you don't replace guys like him and Josh Sweat easily. But they also could have lost guys like Leo Lewis, Errol Thompson and Cameron Dantzler, all of whom were in their 3rd years. The defense will take a hit, but not a fatal one. Missouri RB Demaria Crockett. The other Tigers know. To rusher last year, Crockett did what most running backs should do and went for the money before the mileage gets too high. And with Kelly Bryant taking over at quarterback, Mizzou should be more run-heavy next year. Tennessee LB Corte Sapp with just 29 tackles. This seems more like a processing than a real loss. Texas A. Sternberger was a difficult matchup player for them last year, so he'll be missed. Although again, there's lots of talent at receiver there. Dodson was the one potential impact returnee of that front seven, so they'll be rebuilding there. Vanderbilt CB Joewan Williams Vandy always seems to have one or two very good defensive players that go on to a nice pro career and look like they were too good to play for the Commodores.